Good morning and welcome to Glam Chats. Guys, are you starting to feel the effects of the economy a little bit? Are your numbers going down, losing some clients? Clients aren't coming in as often, and you can't figure out why and what you've done wrong? I'm here to tell you it's not your fault. Today on Glam Chats, it's hustle like it's 2008. I've been through a recession. I hate throwing that word around. I don't know that we're headed towards a recession, but I want you guys to start preparing your services like we are. So, a couple of things I want to chat about today. I want to talk about why I think we need to start moving away from knowing your worth and raising prices and being the most expensive and moving more towards staying afloat, temporarily keeping our client and really focusing on our finances as opposed to a race to the top. It's currently a race to the bottom. I'm also going to give you guys some tips and tricks on what I suggest to stay afloat, what I did in 2008 whenever I experienced a recession in my business. And then I'm going to give you some closing thoughts on being reassured, knowing it that it's temporary. And sometimes these are great opportunities to actually grow our business and do better. So, to start, I was a hairstylist in 2008. I know that was a really long time ago. I was a very young stylist, which I know some of you guys are right now. Um, I started seeing it was a different time then. We were doing simpler services. Haircuts were like $35. Maybe I was charging a little more. Maybe I was charging 45. Highlights, you might pay $120. It was just a lot less than it is now. Our services were simpler, they were quicker. I could do full highlight haircut in 2 hours because I was popping in, like, 15 foils instead of what people are asking for now. Um, so I started having clients that would drop off. I started seeing clients a lot less than I was seeing them, in previous years. I started seeing clients that were losing jobs, and were looking for solutions, and we're starting to see other stylists because I was too expensive for their budget. Now they all came back after 2009, but I really wish I would have seen the trends and known what was happening in advance so I could have held on to those good clients and not seen a dip in my book for a year, which was very financially challenging for me. In fact, I almost left the industry because it was such a scary time. So, I want to talk about some of the trends I'm seeing, other hairstylists are seeing, other salon owners are seeing that make me think that we need to kind of hold on tight, and get ready for what could feel a little bit like a recession, even if we don't want to use that word. Um, my clients, my friends, a lot of them have experienced job loss. There are major layoffs going on in really big companies and in small startups too. So if you haven't personally been affected by a job loss, like your spouse or a friend or a parent, I do know that there has been a lot of job loss. A lot of people are struggling to find new jobs. There's a lot of people looking for jobs right now. And that's always a little bit concerning because it means that people's income is down. Um, it's also hard to get a job. Like a lot of our college age stylists that are getting out of college are having a hard time getting employed. They're not making the same rate that they would. A lot of them are having to go to Starbucks or HEB or work jobs that don't necessarily require a college degree because the job market is hard to get into. They have the competition of everybody who's lost a job or been laid off who has tons of experience. So it's really hard for them to get a job, and usually they're working for under their value right now. And you throw in student loans, and it's really, really hard right now. And some of the times those are our clients that were coming in and getting extensions and blonding and very complicated services and paying a lot of money. And we're noticing that their parents, because of their own um, job loss or maybe retirement, they're trying to hold on tight to money, aren't paying for their services as much. So those clients that could have previously afforded very expensive services can't afford it anymore. We need to be really aware of this and realize that we need services that can accommodate these clients temporarily because they will find jobs. The economy will bounce back, but we do need to accommodate them while we wait for this. Secondly, retired people are helping their adult children that have lost jobs. So they're having to hold on to their retirement a little bit tighter. They're having to be on tighter budgets. So even if you're working on an older client base, you could also feel that little bit of a squeeze. Um, Interest rates. So let's talk about that. Usually when interest rates go high like they are now, they're close to like 8+%. I bought a house last August and I'm paying really high interest rates, even with really good credit. And usually when that happens, house prices go down. But in our area, particularly, house prices are staying pretty steady. They're not going up, but interest rates are up. So monthly payments on houses and cars are a lot more than they used to be. So people's monthly budgets aren't accommodating their higher bills and they're having to cut things out. And lastly, inflation. And I know we're all feeling this. I know when we go to buy our foil and our color, we see the prices raising substantially, not the usual quarter more, but now it's like double, which is insane. We're seeing it in grocery store. Whenever I go to buy milk, I'm like shocked by how expensive my groceries are now. Restaurants are charging more. So people are having to spend more to live exactly the same way that they were. And that forces them to start prioritizing how they spend their money. They hold on to it a little more tightly than they might have previously. And then one more thing that I thought of, we had a slower Christmas this year at Bex and Co. Not bad. And my regular stylist maybe didn't feel it as much, but some of my newer stylists talked about how Christmas wasn't as swamped as it usually is. And while sometimes that's kind of nice because we're not killing ourselves during the holidays, it's also a little bit of a red flag and a reason for us to start thinking about why weren't we busy during Christmas when we usually are really, really swamped. So, all of these things lead me to believe that we need to start pivoting now. You want to be the first one to pivot your services. You want to be ahead of the game so that you don't lose clients to people who are dropping their prices, offering huge sales on Instagram. You want to really keep your clients and give them options that work for them. Here's how these trends can affect your business. Again, you guys, I hate that this feels like a really negative thing to talk about. It's not. There's opportunities for growth during every recession. In 2008, I think that's when Uber, huge businesses got started because you have to look for those opportunities for growth, but also just be aware that it's happening and tackle it head on so that you don't feel like a victim to it. Here's what you might see happen. Clients are going to start spreading out their appointments further. So if you were seeing someone every 8 weeks, they might say, hey, actually, let's make it 12 this time, or let's make it 14 weeks. And that's, of course, doesn't seem like a big deal, but if lots of clients start doing that, your monthly income is going to start going down unless you have more clients to fill those spots. The next thing they're going to do is start asking for simpler services. They're going to want fewer highlights. They're going to want to be less blonde. They're going to want to skip the cut. They're going to want to just do a new growth touch up and not add the highlights in. Or if it's an older client, you're doing gray coverage and a blonde, or not necessarily older, someone who has gray hair and you're doing a gray touch up and a blonding, they might say, "Oh, let's just touch up the gray the next few times," or "Let's make it lighter so that it blends better so I don't have to spend as much money every time I come in." Now, previously, when people had a lot of money coming in, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I want the works. I want every service. I want the cut every single time." Now they're like, "Oh, well, can I leave wet? How can I make this a little bit cheaper?" We want to realize that's happening whenever we go into solutions, which is what we're going to talk about next. Um, So, one thing that I talked about, clients, younger clients, their parents aren't gonna be paying for their services anymore, especially if they have retired parents. So, if you have college age clients, they might stop coming in. They're not covering gray, so you might not see them for 7, 8, 9 months instead of every 3 to 4 months. They're gonna take these beautiful lived in colors and they're gonna live in them a lot longer because they're young and they can do that. So, you might have bigger breaks in between seeing younger clients. That's another way that you might experience this. And then one big one, and this really sucks, is you might see a loss of client. If you're the last one to be accommodating, if your prices are higher than everybody else's and clients just feel like they can't afford it, then you will probably experience a loss of clients. Now, I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion that I'm giving, and a lot of my opinions are unpopular. I've been in the industry for a long time. I've had to hustle really hard before, and I think we're back to needing to hustle a little bit. But I saw an influencer post maybe yesterday or the day before, 3 reasons I didn't take a client this week, or 3 reasons I fired a client this week. And it was like, they were 10 minutes late, or they, were trying to negotiate my service, or they couldn't afford me. It was like a list of things that seemed really trivial. It wasn't that the client was unkind or problematic or refusing to pay. It was very trivial. And I think they were trying to make a flex on, I'm so booked and I'm so busy and I'm so rich that I can turn people away anytime I want to. Listen, I love that for them. If you already have your ideal clientele built and you're busy and you're not feeling this recession, great. That's awesome. But right now, I feel like that thought process is a little irresponsible to teach to stylists that are still building books and whose clientele are a little bit volatile. Because if we turn away a client that's 10 minutes late and we lose $300, $400 off of our book because we wanted to prove that my time is super valuable and you can't be late, and it's all about principle, is that the hill you wanna die on? Do you wanna lose all that money over 10 minutes late? Now, if it's gonna truly affect your schedule, make an adjustment. Say, "We don't have time to blow out," or, "What part of the service do you wanna skip?" But don't turn the client away just to flex that you're so busy you don't have to take a client that is late. I've also seen Instagram posts about, like, doubling the prices of your services because of inflation, or for ideal client type, turning clients away constantly. Right now is not the time to do that. Like, we cannot be the highest priced person in the city unless you're already booked, you have the reputation, and you're maintaining your clients. If you're losing clients, you're not booked, you're not busy, and you're the highest person in the salon, it's time to reevaluate your prices. Again, we were in a market 2 years ago, a year ago, where we could all raise our prices, where we could all be super crazy expensive. We could all offer super complicated services. We're just not there right now. I hope that time comes back, but we really need to pivot. Um, Now, the one thing is, there's a lot of changes we can make that can help our income to stay high and to guarantee our books and to feel a little bit safer. And I kind of want to go over some of the solutions that I recommend. One, we need to recognize that this is happening. We need to be kind to our clients. If a client kind of very casually mentions that they're having a struggle or budget issues, we never want them to feel embarrassed by that. Or, I'm not saying you need to lower your prices. Maybe you do need to refer them to another stylist, but you need to do it in the kindest way possible. Like, listen, you are not the only one struggling. It is hard out there right now. I want to help you out. I want to give you a few options to make this service more affordable for you. Or, worst case scenario, if we just can't make it work, I want to help you find someone that you love that's going to do an amazing job that fits your new budget. And I hear you, I see you, and we want to make sure that we get you taken care of. If we make clients feel shamed for not being able to pay our prices, or if they come in and you're very aggressive with your pricing and, require that they have an inclusive service that includes, like, a treatment, or they might feel like that's not something they can afford anymore, and they don't wanna be embarrassed by saying that, so they might just disappear, and that is definitely something that we do not want. So, number 1, recognize that the client is struggling, be kind and considerate, and see if there's anything you can do to accommodate their budget. Um, Number 2, um, let's hold on to our clients a little bit tighter than we normally would. So let's be a little bit more flexible if someone's late. Slightly more flexible on cancellations or reschedules as long as it's keeping the client in the chair. Now, this is not someone who's constantly no showing or always late. This is someone who has a one time, oh my gosh, my child is sick. I have to go to their school. I'm going to have to miss my appointment. We might not say, okay, well, I'm charging you 100% of the service price and you're going to have to pay next time. We might say, listen, if you'll reschedule the appointment, I'll charge you 50%, but I'm going to put that towards your next service. So don't worry, you're not going to be out any money. It's just something we can do for a good client to keep them in our chair and they're going to feel very grateful to you. So be a little bit more flexible on late people, no shows, cancellation. Let's try to be kind. And as long as it's not a pattern, let's be as helpful as we possibly can. Um, 2, or actually, this would be 3. Let's talk about services we can offer that are a little bit more affordable, don't require as much product, and take less of your time to get clients in the door as frequently as they were coming, but not paying as much. So, a good option would be a face framing balayage, a balayage at the sink, a wet balayage, something just to give them a little bit of boost, but doesn't take as much time as their normal service. Maybe a mini service like a bang trim and face frame where we dry cut their hair at a lower price and just kinda get it touched up to get them through until their next, haircut. This is a great add-on to a color whenever they say, "Listen, I can only afford the color, I can't afford the cut today." Great, I actually offer a $25 dry cut that's gonna face frame you, trim up some of your layers. It's about 10 minutes, but it's gonna make you feel a lot better, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's great. That's way better than the normal 100 or 125." So that's an option to boost your income. Doesn't take you nearly as long, but you're still gonna be accommodating that client in a way. Another service you could offer is to do toners and root taps on existing highlights. And I know you guys are already doing that, but be a little bit more flexible with this. Like, even if it's a little more grown out than you want it to be to do the root tap and the toner, like, offer this as a service. Make it look as good as you possibly can with that service. And we know when it's an option, when it's not. Sometimes if somebody's got highlights out to here, maybe we can't do that. But if it's an option and you know you can accommodate a lesser service, go ahead and do that. That's gonna keep the client in the chair. It's gonna get them through this tough time, and whenever it's over, they're gonna come back, and they're gonna want those full services again. It might be that you offer 1 row of extensions instead of 2 and give, a better price on that and still accomplish beautiful results. It might be that you suggest simpler services like, I know we've been going really, really blonde. I think your hair would be beautiful a little bit darker. Let's just do a mini highlight and blend your roots in with your highlights so that we can start going a little bit further in between appointments. For your gray clients, maybe you want to lighten them up a little bit so that their gray blends a little bit better so that they can stretch a little bit further. These are all things that we can do to accommodate the clients and accommodate their new budgets. And it will go back to normal. Eventually, they are going to want the services once they have the money. But these are things that we can do just to keep them in our chair and not have the loss of clients that a lot of people around us are having right now. I also want to encourage you to look at your own budget. Make sure you're not overspending on product. I've said this before, I say it a lot. Really be aware of how much you're spending, be more picky about the things you buy. Make sure they're things that you're using. Make sure that they're necessary. I know sometimes when we go in the beauty supply store, it's really easy to just pick up things because they're cute and cool. Right now is not the time to do that. Really pay attention to your overhead and what you're choosing to buy. Don't overuse color. Make sure you're not throwing color down the drain. Really measure carefully. Just be aware of these things that cost us money so that we can lower our expenses since we're really trying to lower expenses for the client and we can carry that expense on to the client. And then I also want you guys to think about booking a little bit further out. I know there for a while it was really popular to close your books and only book 30 days out, but there's a lot of security in knowing that you have clients booked for the next 6 months. It also helps a client that doesn't have a appointment on the book. You know, if they're not booked and they know they're gonna have to jump on and try to get in with you in that 30 days, and it might not fit their schedule, they might be like, "You know what? It's a little expensive anyway. I'm just gonna skip this month, or I'm gonna go see somebody else." If you already have them booked for 3 appointments out, they're a lot more likely to keep that appointment, and even if they have a budget concern, they might call you and be like, "I really wanna keep this appointment, but I can't afford a full highlight. Do you have any recommendations that you can give me to make my hair look good, but not necessarily have such an extensive, expensive service, right?" And we can do that. We're good at our jobs. It's just a time where we have to pivot. And then some of the results we're gonna see as a result of this, I guarantee, is we've been doing very complicated services. When I first started in this industry, it was when Kelly Clarkson had the like streaks and it was like white, red, brown, and it was like literally like we would do, like, 1 red foil, 1 really blonde foil, 1 brown foil, 1 red, 1 blonde, 1 brown. That's it. And then the rest of the client's hair would be brown, and it would be really layered, so they'd be, like, this short. So there'd be, like, a red, white, brown. But I was putting 6 foils in the hair, so it was easier to charge less because I wasn't doing that much to their hair and I wasn't using that much product. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna go back to that, But we might see a trend towards much simpler hairstyles and services. We might see people going back to like a partial highlight instead of like a full balayage that's really, really blonde and complicated. They might just get like a few foils thrown in like they used to way back when. So trends in hair are definitely going to change. We might see fewer extensions. We might see shorter haircuts. These things will definitely be something that we'll see in the next year or so based on what's happening right now. But hopefully it's all temporary. The last thing I want to say is I think this is temporary. I've lived through recessions before. It's a result of the economy. We kind of saw this coming because of 2020. We know that there were a lot of loans and a lot of money given out to keep everybody afloat and that it stopped. So people have less money. We know that companies are having a harder time getting working capital and loans. So they're having to lay off employees. A lot of trends, our dollar isn't as valuable as it was. These trends lead to recession. They lead to people to tighten up with their money, but it will end, interest rates will go down, things will change. So our goal right now is to hustle like it's 2008, to work really hard, to get more clients through the door and do cheaper services or less to their hair than we were doing on these complicated services. And when it's over, we can breathe again. But I just want you guys to stay afloat. I don't want anybody to leave the industry because you're scared. So let's pivot now so that we don't have to. Um, and then I also want you to think I said this before, but think about your own finances. And I don't just mean your expenses in the salon, I mean at home. This might be the time to get on a budget, to start noticing how much you're spending. This might not be the time to eat out every day. It might be that we want to reduce our food costs. We might want to consider keeping our car a little bit longer, even though you're kind of due for a new car. Hold on a little bit tighter to that car and don't get another car payment. These decisions that we make that really increase our monthly bills, we might just want to keep ourselves in a safe place right now and not spend as much money so that if our income does dip a little bit with the economy, we're okay. We haven't raised all of our bills. We're not paying more each month than we can handle, and we're prepared to take it on. So really focus on your finances. And then last, I want to say that economy being down is really a great time to grow. In 2020, most of you know this, but that's when I opened 3 of the 7 salons, and it was in a time of recession. It was a very scary time to open, or I don't know if we would call that a recession, but it was a time when the economy was very fragile and very scary. And what I did was I looked for opportunities like somebody selling a salon for less than they should. These are the opportunities to look for like Salon Service Group, they're gonna start offering big time sales because people are buying less stuff. People are leaving the industry. So maybe you can get your products for cheaper. Maybe you can negotiate better prices with them. Maybe you can negotiate better intro kits. So this is a great time to think about that. This is a good time to lean on clients that aren't suffering from the economy. Make sure that well, you're not negative, they're gonna be aware that the economy is going down, and I wouldn't say that your business is bad or going down, but I might just say like, "Oh, yeah, we're definitely feeling it. I'm doing fine, but, I have to be more aware of people's budgets," and, those clients might be willing to take a little bit better care of you. They might tip you a little bit more. They sometimes feel bad that other people around them are struggling and they're not. So, really, just be vulnerable and honest about what you're experiencing and lastly, if you need help, ask for help. Like, if you need to market more, like let's make sure we're always accepting new clients. We're always accepting new clients. Market more, get more clients in the door, work a little bit later hours, work a little bit longer days. And you guys know that I don't usually say this, but temporarily, this is what it's going to take to stay afloat. So really think about, your marketing and if you need help marketing, come to me, come to another influencer who's kind of saying some of the same things I am, but ask, what do you recommend? I mean, I'm saying, let's do it old school. Like, let's go to businesses that are around us and pass out cards. Let's team up with other struggling businesses and say, how can we help each other out? Like, we're seeing a dip in clients, you're seeing a dip in clients. What can we do to help each other out? I mean, these are all very, very important things. So, really think about your marketing. Ask for marketing advice. Ask for marketing help. Think of old school marketing techniques. Go pass out cards. I was in the coffee shop the other day and like pulled somebody's card off, a bulletin board for a massage in Georgetown. Like, make sure your card is on the bulletin board. And while I was there, I was looking for Bex and Co. Stylist cards, which a lot of them had them on there. But be the person that somebody pulls their card off the board. Kind of think about that we don't have to only do Instagram. We can find other creative marketing techniques. And again, guys, it's so important to realize that these struggles, they're temporary. I've been through them before. We're going to get through it, and you're not alone. You're not the only one struggling. If you feel like something's happening to your business and everybody else is okay, that's just not true. Everybody is feeling a little bit of a pinch right now. Maybe some of our older experienced stylists who have been doing this for years and have had the same clients for 20 years might not feel it as much. But if you're newer, if you're starting off, everybody is taking a little bit of a hit. So you're not alone. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say that you're struggling a little bit. And it's okay to ask for help if you need it. I know my finances have taken a hit, and I'll be honest about that. My husband had to go back to work. That's there for a while we were able to let him be self-employed and have more time with Sophia, and he had to go back to an 8 to 5. So, we're feeling it. We're all feeling the pinch, so don't be scared to say that out loud. Don't be scared to ask for help. So, in conclusion, I do think we're going to see a dip in the economy for all the reasons I mentioned: people losing jobs, um, interest rates, prices are higher, inflation, all the telltale signs. We are going to see a loss of clients. We're going to see clients asking for simpler services or trying to stretch out their appointments a little bit further. But there are solutions you can use to combat that, and that is to offer mini services or services that are a little bit more budget friendly, don't require as much product, and are quicker for you to perform, to always be taking new clients, book clients further out in advance. Be kind and understanding when your clients do let you know that they're having a budget issue. Really recognize that and be kind to that. And just remember that it's temporary. So, thank you guys for joining me on Glam Chat. Again, I don't want this to be a negative Glam Chat. I just want you guys to be informed. I want you guys to be ready for what's going on. And I want you guys to keep being successful, even if it requires a little bit of temporary hustle. You guys have a great Monday, and I will talk to you guys next week.